about this. And now we're live, and look at this, the first piece of artwork for the musical map of Missouri. How awesome is that?
Well, on what scale? From 1 to what?
1 to a million. This is a million. I'll give you the answer. This is a million.
A million?
It is.
It doesn't say million on it.
It's a wonderful piece of artwork from Doug Erb. It is the first piece of artwork that for the musical map of Missouri, because Lou Whitney always called a ball cap a rock and roll toupee.
Yep.
And that's where they came from.
Well, and if you don't know who this guy is, you need to find out who it is.
Exactly. That's the whole.
Who he was, because there's probably an underwritten thing there where he did represent all the music talent from the state of Missouri.
So many people touched, so many people. Just all the people did. And I just love displaying this and being able to display it first on this show. How cool is that?
On this show, yeah, that's cool. That's
right. I'll go ahead and take it off the screen, but I'm just saying I'm very excited about this. Let's see here. Let's look down here, and now I know where I'm going.
I guess your mom watches some of this sometimes, huh?
Oh yeah, always.
Because when you said yesterday, yeah, she wasn't hearing anything, I thought, oh boy, your mom's on there, and here I'm on here doing goofy stuff sometimes.
She was just trying to. It was a different.
She's probably like, what's happened to Mike Reed over the years? Gee whiz, he used to be a good, respectable kid, and
but
yeah.
Also, let's talk about Soup Grande. You and I talked a little about soup yesterday, and this is Monday, Mike.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. What is that?
That's Blue Man Group.
Oh,
that is cool. This is one of their shirts down in Universal, down in Florida.
Right.
I've got the one I got where that has them with the little pipe that goes all the way down. Said Blue Man. Some of those you can only buy at certain venues, and Universal in Florida, because it's at Universal Studios, they put out some pretty cool stuff on Blue Man Group, and I just ran across stuff on eBay that's like, and it's usually somebody's wanting to get rid of it. It's like $8 or something. I'm like, well, yeah, okay, yeah, I do too much of that, yeah.
Well,
but anyway, go ahead.
Tell me about Soup Grande.
Soup Grande was, if you wanted to, the Ozark Mountain Daredevils, if you wanted to pin a face or a figure to them,
right?
He might be the one. Randall Chowning, of course, he was the guy with the big hits when it all started and everything.
Definitely too. Everybody was good,
and he's still around. But Soup was that. Well, the whole band had the long hair. I don't know, kind of the, what would you say, the hippie look or something?
Right.
I mean, the long hair and the beards, and they would. But they had that look. But Soup was just. I got to know him through. Actually, I didn't get to know him through music. I got to know him through the big music store in Springfield, Missouri, was the Rock Shop, owned by Mark Morton, and then John Gott used to be there. John opened his own sound and lighting company, and but John's still around racing motorcycles, so he's enjoying life. But Mark Morton, it was called the Rock Shop, and you never knew who was going to be there. I mean, people from all around the country would stop in if they were in Springfield, Missouri, and I knew they had me to play with their softball team.
Right.
Now, I've been gone from Springfield a long time. I guess softball's probably as big as it ever was. Back in those days, it was just huge. I mean, if you played on a team, you played 2 nights a week or 3 nights a week, and then you tournaments on the weekend, which took up 3 days of your life. So all you did was play softball. Well, there are softball teams around the country that are just unbelievable. I mean, the first 8 guys to get up the bat hits it out of the park. Bam, bam, bam. I mean, it's just So they asked me to be on their softball team, and I was the leadoff hitter. I was a good athlete in those days, and that was pretty neat. So I got to know all these music guys that I knew who they were, but I never really got to meet them. And I told the story. We had a guy that, and Soup was on there, and he's so into baseball, so into the Cardinals too. And
Yes.
he'd wear his old, and these were old baseball pants. I mean, I'm sure he got them at a Goodwill store that was in the back room of a Goodwill store on another parking lot of a Goodwill store, because
Right.
these were old and white, and they went all the way down to his ankles.
Right.
And of course, he had the beard and the long hair and the ponytail. When he played baseball, he had the old Cardinals hat that just barely fits your head, you know. He had that on, and he was good. He was a very good athlete. I mean, he was a guy that was. That's one of the things he got very serious about, and we had a pitcher that was really good. He was just overweight and slow, and
Okay.
and he hit the ball one day, and then he said, "Man, see what they threw." He should have made it to second base, but he only made it. He didn't even get to first base, and they threw him out. And I forget. I see. Okay. He said something about if I wasn't so slow, something about I could, you know, I could have beat the throw to first base,
Yes.
something similar. But Soup just flipped it around. He just said, "No, if you picked up some speed, you could get to first base," or something like that. I mean, the joke had something to do with speed. Corey, him being long hair, ponytail, beard, and all, it fit right in with just a. I say a hippie joke. Those guys weren't hip. Those guys are just a bunch of talented guys. It's really unique what they did, because they all just did what they did, and it was down home, and it was.
It was at the right time too. It was a time when all of that.
Nowadays that would have been, they would have been top-notch country act, you know, right up there with.
But the deal was, at that time they were the top-notch rock and roll act. That was so fun to listen to that interview I did several years ago, because they were at the top of the rock game. Absolutely.
And it was neat, because that was some really cool music. And I play a lot of their songs. I mean, their songs are fun to play. I'll never forget when one time ZZ Top used to all those concerts in Springfield. We're at the Shrine Mosque.
Right.
And loudest concert I ever saw in my life was Ted Nugent there.
Oh yeah.
And I can contest to it being so loud, because there were pieces of the ceiling falling on the people sitting in that just from the sound.
Right.
And it was so loud. Whoever I was there with, we left halfway through it. I mean, it's like, here, we're musicians, we can't stand it. This is loud.
Right.
But ZZ Top was there. Maybe it was at Hammond's. I don't know where it was. But anyway, I got to talk to I don't know if it was the road crew or actually was ZZ Top, but it's pretty funny, because I'm like, well, yeah, I play rock and roll music, and oh yeah, we have right here in Springfield, we have the Ozark Mountain Daredevils. And they just laughed at me and said, yeah, you call that rock and roll? I think I was actually talking to Gibbons or one of the guys in ZZ Top, because it was in the afternoon and they were in there doing sound. There was nobody around. They were setting up equipment and stuff. And I was like, got slapped in the face. What you call that rock and roll?
Right.
Of course, yeah, ZZ Top was a little more rocking than the Daredevils were, but it was, yeah, the Daredevils and Soup. And then I moved to Nashville, and every once in a while, I would see him somewhere, or I'd see where he was playing, or he was just doing a little something somewhere. And I ran into him a few times, and he was like, Mike, man, what are you doing down here? I said, I live here. He said, well, I live here too. And, you know, we just never did. He was doing the music scene, and he was doing acting stuff too. He's done quite a bit of acting and some music videos and stuff. And he seemed like he would have just been a swell guy to know, just as a person and hang out with. He's very true to everything he does, and always smile. He was always smiling and laughing about everything. I mean, he was just happy-go-lucky guy. I mean, It's kind of weird because sometimes people will want to shy away from people like that. Oh, he got the long hair and the beard. Yeah, it's a hippie. Yeah, he's a druggie. He's this and that. And you learn, you just don't judge people. Don't judge a book by its cover. I mean, just get to know people. I mean, people would swear up and down that, gosh, I'm getting older and I've done music my whole life and I've traveled on the road. And my hair's been longer. It's been shorter.
Right.
It's people swear up and down. Yeah. I bet you were in band. You guys probably did drugs and all this stuff. I'm pretty funny. I'm like, you know what? I've never done drugs. I don't even. I used to do some gigs and somebody'd come up to me and hold out your hand. They'd hand me something, some kind of pills, and I go, "What's that?" And they'd name whatever it was. I go, "Oh, okay, thanks." So I never forget. I had a bass player. He looked like Fiddler on the Roof. George Oberly. He's in Joplin, Missouri.
Okay.
And I'd go up to George. I go, "George, here, hold out your hand." He go, what you got? I go, "Here." And he'd be, "Oh my God, where'd you get that? Oh my God, oh my God." And he knew exactly what it was. I was Mr. Long Hair, had bands.
Right.
I didn't know one drug from the other. I was just one of those people, like I said, I've never smoked in my life. I've never smoked a cigarette in my life, which, boy, I don't know if there's any people left in the world that can say that. It's not something that I brag about. It's just something, when I was in high school and people started smoking, I just didn't want to. I mean, I was like, okay, if that's what you want to do, I want to be different.
Right.
And so it was on the drug thing. It was so funny, but like I said, George was a good guy, but George, he'd take whatever I handed him. He'd go, "Okay, I'll see you guys about supper time tomorrow. I'll be out of it probably." And but I've just noticed a lot of people when I was in Nashville doing stuff, and there's so many people there that you would think were kind of into the druggy type thing and all, and not at all. I mean, I think that's kind of went by I think there's way more people that aren't that way anymore than are.
Exactly.
But I don't know. But that's why I say you just don't judge people. I mean, it's but Soup, and I couldn't say in his life if he did drugs or if he didn't do drugs or how much. Nothing, which it doesn't matter to me.
Exactly.
Just like Lou Whitney and all these guys. I mean, if that's what you're judging people for in life, then you're missing out. But it was Soup. He was just the name fitting, man. But as I said, I got to know him playing softball for the softball team.
And he is a big Cardinals fan. And Lou Whitney is a big Cubs fan. So they have a little rivalry there. And
well, Soup, I can just remember Soup because he'd pull that hair all back in his ponytail. He'd have this big beard. And I mean, he reminded me of a Muppet, of like Grover from the Muppets or something like that. And he had the little, I probably got one somewhere, like, there's ball caps that are, well, okay, like this thing right here. Where's the camera?
Right.
That they don't have much of a crown. They don't stick up much in the front. They just kind of go from the bill and they just slide right on back.
Yes.
They look like they're a little kid's hat or something. I mean, they just kind of, that's what he wore, and it was the old kind. It was kind of a white wool looking thing with the STL on the front. It's the old Stan Musial type ball cap. And his ball glove was, he had the money to have whatever, but it wasn't no big fancy ball glove. It looked like the old style ball. He was old school baseball guy in softball. And those guys all got very serious about the softball thing. Here they were, everybody involved was all musicians, but they all were
took it seriously.
Very, very seriously when it came to the softball thing. And that was a summer. I was playing in a league 2 or 3 nights a week for my dad sponsored a team, and then I'd play with those guys on tournaments of the weekend. And by the end of summer, you're like, I have done nothing with my life this summer except mess around with a softball.
Right.
So then I didn't do it for 2 or 3 years, and then I went back and tried to play some with some team. I don't even think I could hit the ball anymore. It was like,
number one, people need to share the show and share this on everywhere. But also, we need to say that Soup is the guest on this week's Missouri Music Podcast. And so go and learn about that. I had a great interview with him, and that's why I want to talk about him.
Wow, that's neat. There's back in those days, I mean, they were the Daredevils, they were all so unique, you know, they were just all these guys. Hair was longer, they were musicians, they'd practice and rehearse out in little, you know, you see the pictures on the albums of the little old not log cabins, but the old houses. Yes. I mean, that was them. That was then Buddy Brayfield, he was down, right. He lived in Crane or somewhere down in there. I don't know. I mean, I remember one time he's like, because he had lived down there and I was there, and he's like, "Well, hey, if you need a keyboard player, you know, we could." I'm not doing much,
right?
But I was scared by it. I was like, "Well, we've got this little band, and you know, whoever's in the band, whether it's Bobby Eaton, Jeff Kites, whoever it was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I get Buddy Brayfield to play. No, because he's right. He's a professional. He's been there. Nah, he's gonna go, but." I don't worry about that anymore.
That was the same time. It was just a great time in music. And definitely, I love the stuff that he talks about, how big and how close they were, and, you know, how many different stories had to tell. And that it's just like, it's an amazing interview. I really enjoyed that.
With Soup?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd say he's got a million stories. He's just... He's funny. I mean, it's
certainly
he was a fun guy. He wasn't
right,
and he was kind of like Lou. They were kind of cut out of the same mold, kind of.
Yes, I agree.
They were Soup. Any time I ever seen him or anything, he was always nice. I mean, like I said, I didn't get to hang with him when I was in Nashville. Of course, I was doing things and he was doing a lot of things, and he'd always be like, "Man, hey, I'm going to be over at the such and such whatever." Right.
Sure.
Lounge on Tuesday night. Why don't you come out there? Come out, hang out. and I just
you were doing
I was a musician guy, and I turned into being a DJ, which that's okay, because I got to know all the DJs around the country, United States, and I'd go to the conventions, and it was definitely different though, growing up in the live band thing and knowing about PA equipment, all that type of stuff. I mean, just a different breed. And live musicians always help each other out. I mean, they're always there. Yeah, they want to see that their brother succeed, you know. Right. And in the DJ thing, a lot of not knocking the DJs, but a lot of DJs are a guy that just went out and bought a illegal hard drive full of music from somebody, which
right.
I say illegal. It's done 1,000 times every day.
Right.
I mean, just go on eBay, look up DJ music hard drive. Oh, here's one, $300. It's got 200 songs on it, and this has got, you know, I mean, but it's a lot of guys in the DJ industry just bought a laptop and a hard drive and some speakers, and that's all. I see people. I have a little. I have something on Facebook where I see posts that DJs around the country throw on there, just a forum type thing. And man, I'll see people on there. They'll put something like, I've booked an 80s party this Saturday night. Can somebody give me an idea on a playlist of some cool songs I can play? I'm thinking, well, maybe you shouldn't be a DJ. Come on.
Post that on Facebook either. Oh my gosh.
And then I've had people, oh my gosh, they would say, now you have that little dent in your chin. These are DJs. That's made for the microphone to sit right there in that little dent. That's where it's supposed to be. Oh my gosh. And then at a convention one time, a lady got up, and in college, she had studied the way to talk in a microphone. And she was trying to tell us all. And I'm just like, if you can't pick up a microphone and figure out how to speak in it, and there was just a lot of things. I worked with a guy. Now, anybody watching this probably wouldn't know the difference, but in DJ, when sound comes out, mono means the same thing comes out of that speaker, the left as the right. It's just the same sound,
right? Which
is 99% of what you hear. I mean, when you're in a restaurant and there's a jukebox and there's different speakers, well, you don't have some sound out of that speaker and something different out of that speaker. Stereo is when you have a sound man and stuff, and he knows how to, he leans this stuff to this side of the stage and this to this side, and I've done some stuff like that. I did a thing where it's on my washboard thing where it sounds like a jet flying over. Well, with stereo, I panned it where you can hear the jet coming from one side, and as you're listening, it goes across and passes you.
Yes.
Now, was there really a jet doing that? No, you just did it all. But I would have people in the DJ industry. They go, "Well, I need to buy 2 of those $1,000 power amps for my system."
Right.
I go, it's got 2 channels. It's just why? Because I need to do left and right stereo. Which.
So now let's talk about You're the Ticket. All that stuff is going so fast, and just tell me, because I feel like my email address is davewallace@gmail.com, and anyone should come on here and talk about their ideas on this thing. If you've played with Mike in a band or whatever, this is happening this year.
Well, You're the Ticket is a phenomenal thing I came up with a few years ago.
Right.
I've probably got a portfolio of about 7 or 8 different things I think would work great in a tourist area. Yeah, I've got different types of things. This just happens to be one of the ones. And I look outside the what do you want to say? Outside the norm. I mean, I don't look at
the box, outside the norm, everything. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, I look. You got to do something different. It's like if I go to shows, like when I was in Pigeon Forge and different shows, and even here and stuff, when I go for entertainment, but the girl I used to date in Pigeon Forge, that's where she's at now.
Dolly, is that right? Dolly's her name?
No, Diana. Dolly, yeah, Dolly, pardon, yeah. Diana, but she'd say, "Michael, when we're down here walking around Gatlinburg or we're doing this," she goes, "You're having fun and laughing, but your mind is constantly on business, isn't it?" I go, "I'm constantly looking what needs to be done and where."
Right.
And so that's what I do. So You're the Ticket is a concept I came up with. It's never been done here that I know of. If it has, it's been a long, long time ago.
Exactly.
I was in Pigeon Forge, which is like a smaller Branson. There was nothing like that there. I just haven't seen anything. Somebody told me about something in Disney World where it's similar in a sense, but it's not at all. It's just that is just designed for kids, for families to go sit and let their kids go in the stage door. And yeah, that's something that's not even. So this was a neat deal. And after I got moved back, I was talking to you, and and I didn't have to tell you very much about it. I just
I saw the
hit
idea.
a few things.
I saw it.
I hit a few things, and you were like, "Oh my gosh, yeah." And the story was, I own You're the Ticket domain because Dale bought it for me one night. He goes, "Well, you've got the domain." I just got on and bought it, and I go, "Well, that's okay." And people don't understand to open an entertainment business.
Right.
Man, there's a lot to it. You got to have a team.
Exactly.
And
not just one person, the team.
Well, and the thing is, we're starting to come up with a team.
We are. It's happening.
And it's by being selective. We're not just going, "Oh, I think you'd be good to work with us." So no, it's we're spending some time, and this type of thing. It's just like, I guess it's don't fret because you don't have your brochures sitting out in Branson yet. Don't worry. Don't beat your brains out. And
once we get this up, we can do it online until we get the space. It's all going to happen, and everything I've seen, it's all happening.
We haven't had any negative things thrown at us about this. That people, and we're very selective about who we talk to about this, because it is the type of year. Now, I did see the stuff on. Was it Norm and his family, or Norm?
Yes, he's very good. My gosh, he's
the Wildwood Flower.
Right.
I think it's the place I was talking about that's next to Bald Knobbers.
Right.
it was a dinner theater, and they
Right.
turned it into a theater, which means it's probably got a nice stage, but
Right.
it's probably a stage similar to if you was in a gymnasium at a school. So, I mean, it's not.
It's not a theater.
No, they say it is, but it's not. And it seems I can go back in time and remember that was the Wildwood flower
Right.
that Daly's put in.
Right.
See, something like that, I think that's, you got to remember these people driving down the street in their car and they're looking to see what they're going to go see. They're kind of, I'll say, in a lack of a word, they're kind of dumb in what they're looking for. And the fact they don't know, but they will definitely know when they pay for a ticket and they walk through that door and they go, oh, wow, this is not, yeah, this is nice. This is going to be fun. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Definitely, yes.
And if you've been to a couple of nice theaters and then you go into a place that used to be a dinner theater and, well, they just kind of made this into a thing. So, and I saw pictures of Norm and his family. I guess they got a family, they're kind of like
musicians. I got to tell that they are so good. I don't want to take anything away from them. They're awesome.
And I've never heard him. And I do know who he is after I saw his picture. And I've seen a lot of people in this town. I've talked to a lot of people in this town in the past years. Well, we're the Simpson family, and we leased that thing down there, and we tried to put a show, Simpson family music show. And they go, we couldn't give tickets away.
Right, exactly.
I thought, well, you're going up against the big guys here in town that have been here forever.
Definitely.
That's where people are going to go first to see the show because they have the longevity.
And that's what I love about all this stuff is it's coming into place. It's happening.
Well, Janice Dickerson, she's a lady that we're talking to. And it's like I told Janice the other day that if this was just I'm Mike Reed and I've got 5 or 6 other people. I mean, I know 4 or 5 drummers. I know bass. Well, I know a lot of people that aren't doing anything. And let's face it, in Branson, there's a zillion musicians down here that are out that are not working. But to make it special, I mean, this thing for us, the people we're going to have,
the cream of the crop.
We don't want to just hire. Well, I've auditioned 3 or 4 shows. Yeah, I'd like to work at your show. No, we want somebody who wants to be part of the family.
Exactly.
It'll be a family thing.
Right.
And they will know that if they're on that stage with me, they will know they're part of the family and they're going to get paid as part of the family too. Exactly. This is because we want them to be here next year and the next year. That's, we want that whole good thing.
Even a family. Yes.
I'm real leery about going into stuff online about what this would be.
Right.
The name would be You're the Ticket.
Right. That's all we need to say. Because right now, let's go ahead before this ends and let's add to the stream.
I was just going to add to that. This is turn on TV any night and there's some type of reality TV on every channel. Right. And now I notice there's more and more game shows coming on TV.
Right.
So what is happening is people love to see stuff. They love to see stuff where that's live, like competition or
they like old classic things. They like things that have worked before. Let's say that.
Yeah, it's this thing we're doing. It's like an octopus. It has 150 tentacles sticking out of it.
Exactly.
That's you just have to sit down and choose which direction you want to go.
Exactly.
And for anybody listening, we are putting together a marketing team, and we're putting together.
And my email address is dalewiley@gmail.com. Email me, and I'll talk to Mike about it and just see what else is coming next, because all this stuff is falling together about perfectly. But I also want to take a minute and just say the Rock and Roll Toupee will be available very soon for ball caps or whatever. This is the whole thing. This is the first piece of art for the musical map of Missouri. I'm so excited.
Cool.
I'm really excited.
That's very cool. I think, and we think also in Branson is a good central location,
right,
for you to do the podcast that you do from.
Put them all there. It makes sense to have them all in one place.
Yep. Well, hey, it's a beautiful day out, and
It definitely
it's
is.
one day I don't have to go to the doctor. I start up again tomorrow. So.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm glad that you have this day off. This is a wonderful day to have off. And so I'll talk to you. Let's I think we're probably still a little early, but we'll go ahead and close this because this is You're the Ticket and this is Knee Deep in Rubber.
Yep, it is. So see you guys tomorrow.
All right.